Welcome, everyone. Merle Rancher, Chair of the Trustees. I'm going to call on Mike Stickley to come forward and update us on the North Wall project and construction and repair.
Morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? So I guess a little bit of update on the construction since we've last met. There has been some good work done to the building. There's been masonry constructed, has started reconstruction. Can't hear? I think it's muted. There we go. Okay. How's that? Better? Okay. Update on construction since we've last met. There has been some good progress made on the north wall. They've started actual structural reconstruction and repairs to the masonry. They started to put in they're called Healy bars, but it's essentially horizontal steel reinforcing that'll strengthen the walls, both on the east side and the west side. That work is in progress, both on the exterior and interior. Those are things that are going to help put the wall back together. So we are in the reconstruction phase of construction. There's been work done to the east chimney. They've started to infill that and make that solid. The east chimney was, as we've talked about, there was a large void in that, and part of the disrepair and failure was because of that void. So they're starting to block that shut and tie the wall back together. They've opened up the chimney on the west side. They've taken the top down and getting that ready to reconstruct and repair some of those joints. There's been some coordination with WJE, the masonry crews, the welder who will be doing truss repairs. They've been coordinating work. It's been slow, tedious work, so there may not seem like there's a lot of work being done visually, but there has been a lot of good work done. You know, it's not like framing a house or a wall where you see instant results quickly. It's a little bit of a slower process. So we have started we are into that. We also have, and if you want more on the construction, the latest WJE report is in the handout. There's also, we've got updated project costs as well. We have a trustees meeting on the 27th. We will have all final numbers and project costs by that meeting on the 27th. So that's our target date for kind of the final number of the project. We'll also have the construction schedule at that time as well. So the current construction budget, if you go to the handout, this will be clarified this week, but only basically the project's been broken up into two phases. Phase one is any work associated with WJE's engineering drawings. So all the structural work is in phase one. Phase two, we're calling it, is anything that was not in those drawings, but also needs to be done as part of the project. So that would be some of the window work, mechanical work, finishes, any of those type of work that has to finish the project. So only phase two was included in the handout. There were supposed to be both of them, but again, we will update that in an email this week with the total project. So total project cost, everyone's always interested in that. Phase one and phase two, we're at about 3.7 million at this point. We're pretty much at the end of it. There's a couple scraggler numbers, some electrical work. That depends on what we select for mechanical systems. So there are a few numbers still floating out there, but that's where the current project and cost is to date. Yeah, that's pretty much the update at this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your detailed information and diligence in helping us through our repair and construction process. We are all very grateful for your knowledge and help to move through this very complicated process. Again, the handouts that we made available to you today are the latest from the WJE report dated May 11th of 23, and a listing of our north wall repairs, income and expenses as of April 30th of 2023. Please be assured that the trustees are investigating and pursuing all areas of potential income for our church and for the North Wall project. We have many meetings each week, including an upcoming meeting with Gronin and Heritage Works to review and pursue various national grants, when to potentially apply for these grants, along with other potential income opportunities. The trustees are making preparations and finalizing details for an upcoming capital campaign. This campaign will begin very soon. The campaign will be in 3 phases, including phases with church members, community partners, and national grants. Please watch for upcoming information. We thank many of you who have already contributed to our capital campaign. The trustees would like to take this opportunity to thank our staff members, Pastor Katie, Nikki, Tom, Jill, and all who make our church operate smoothly during these challenging times. I want to thank our many church volunteers who step forward, giving their time, treasure, and talents to make our church a place that gives glory and praise to God. These are challenging times in our church life. We need to acknowledge this fact, look to God, pray to God to help us through these daily challenges of our building repair and many uncertainties in our church life. We will get through this together. We will become stronger in the face of challenges if we put our faith and trust in God Almighty. Thank you for your continuing faith and trust. Travis?
Morning, everyone. I want to start, do hand waves if you can't hear me or if I start talking too fast, which is my my tendency. Echoing the volunteer theme and like thanking all the volunteers. Like yesterday was the Pride picnic in Dubuque, and our church had a booth there, and to see Cece and so many of the other people that were there volunteering was really meaningful. And this has been a challenging year, and this stuff would not be possible without the hard work of a whole lot of people, and it really is appreciated. And it's meaningful just to see people around, you know, and like, so I don't know, I appreciate all of y'all. My update for you today is relatively short but good, and the update is that the council and the trustees are working right now with Katie on a longer-term designated term contract. We're working, the details of all this are still not finalized, so this is a little premature, but I think the update is important nonetheless. But it looks like it'll be 18 months long, and so an 18-month contract with Katie. And I think this is great because I think it provides, among other things, stability. That this is going to give some stability, this longer term contract with us as a congregation, that with all the stuff we've got going on with the building and everything else, and as we continue our search for figuring out who a long-term settled pastor will be, identifying that person, we know that we will have Katie for this 18-month period, and we have some stability for that. It will also provide stability for Katie. And that she can rely on, not in the uncertainty of what's going to be in a month or two from now, that she can have 18 months of knowing that she is going to be guiding us at least during that period of time, and helping us as we transition in our building project and everything. It also, I think, gives us a chance to step back and provide some goals for Katie that are appropriate for this particular term. And so that we're working with her on some goals specific to a designated term contract period. And I think that'll be helpful both for her and for us. We want to do well by her, we want to do well by us, and I think this will help do that. So again, the details are not finalized. Next update, I'll be able to have kind of some more kind of that all ends up. But we're working through what that exactly is going to look like now. And that is the only update I have for y'all. I think maybe we can open it up for questions from you to any of us about any part of this. So open floor for questions from the congregation. Nikki is walking. Can also take a moment to echo Merle and thanking not just the volunteers but the staff members who I mean, Nikki was in that booth at the Pride event. It was like 95 degrees and sweating herself silly. She already said that next year the Pride booth is going to have a misting machine, which is a good idea all around. And like the work in the church it takes a lot from everyone. And I think for Nikki in particular, the line between like a staff member and a volunteer is between, and it's appreciated. Questions?
All right, this question is for Merle, and just about the income. I noticed that we have taken out $174,000 from the endowment, and I was just wondering if there's a plan to refund the endowment when the project is over.
Of the 6-7 endowment accounts that the church has, some of them have liquidity. There are some that we would never be able to draw down on. So the plan would be that if we work our way through the project, make payments, the 25% tax credit that we would receive in the end, which would be 25% of the total cost. So on a $3 million project, that would be $750,000. Could be put back into the endowment to replenish what was spent. That would be the goal.
Hang on. So this is going to be a quick question, but not really quick, about our status at Steeple Square versus possibly holding worship services elsewhere. I know this probably isn't the greatest forum to do this in, but have there been any discussions, church council, trustees, deacons, about possibly not continuing to use Steeple Square going forward? Because the question that I have is basically, how much is Steeple Square costing us on a monthly basis to continue to use this space when we have the ability to give those funds to other churches, UCC churches within this community that could possibly need those funds? So I'm just going to throw that out there. I know it's a longer term discussion, but it could be a time here in the summer to possibly go on a, kind of on a round robin, try out those facilities, see what they're like.
There has been much discussion specifically at the trustees about location of worship. Cost-wise, the cost for the rental of Steeple Square has been paid for this entire year by 2 donations. Those donations specifically were earmarked for the cost. The donations, with further discussion, have no impact on what these folks would be giving for the capital campaign. The trustees specifically are waiting for a timeline from Gronin, which we will have by June 27th, as to a date that, Lord willing, our social room would be approved for use. We have tentative dates, but to throw out a date right now would be premature.
To echo a little bit of what Chuck had said, as you are getting your timeline and getting that date for the social room, it's not just about the social room. We have lost our education wing, which means I don't have any Wednesday night programming for my kids. And that's not about my job or the work that I do here at church. That's really about the community of the kids. We had our summer picnic last Wednesday, and the kids were like, "We're going to miss you all summer," to each other and to myself. So I just want to be sure that that's on the radar. That isn't something we can do here. And so we really need to explore how can we partner with other faith communities, whether they be UCC or otherwise, because that's really important. And I don't want to lose that for our church community.
Very good comment, Kirsten. I can tell you it's, if not at the top of the list, it's very high on the list. So we've reached out to Nikki, to Katie. What are the options that are out there? And it's a priority.
I was just going to add to that. Yes, we're actually already working on it along with the other congregations in town, and we have meetings set for July. So that's already on the radar, and we're working on it.
Other questions?
I don't know if this is I'm going to move. I don't know if this is much a question as like just a general concern of the reality of like I see the desire to partner with other churches, but I also see the reality of the risk of doing that because I could see us losing members in partnering with other churches at the same time. And I just want to give word to that. Like I see that we partner with so-and-so church, and then they're like, well, these facilities are pretty nice. I'm going to start going here instead. So I just want to give word to that.
Yeah, I think the whole discussion about church location, whether it be Steeple Square, basement, upstairs, other places, as in life, there's a pro and a con to everything. But we seriously are trying to listen. We think for the time being, this is the right place to be. I think if we get a further timeline on when the social room and the other parts of the church will become usable, that will help the trustees as well as the church council in their decision as to whether we stay the course or whether we make appropriate changes.
Can I add one thing on there? Just echoing John, it's complicated. We have had some conversations at council and others about the location. I think there are a lot of pros and cons. And the point I want to make is just this is a good issue to reach out to council members or trustees or anyone if you have kind of strong thoughts on this. It's complicated. And the more we've talked about the location issue, the more we realize the complexity. So please reach out and talk to us with sort of your thoughts, ideas, or concerns.
Drew keeps shutting me off. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
KDS, go in peace, serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.